I don't know if that worked or not. But I appear to be live streaming back on YouTube again. I think. All right. I did get a message saying you are live from the street level critic. So if you're wondering what happened, I was streaming with my GoPro, but my GoPro is running on batteries. So when the battery runs out of power, the live stream ends, and there's no way to continue the original live stream. It's gone, and I can't reconnect with it anymore. So yeah, I had to start a new live stream. But I would call it a victory, a success that I managed to do it at all, to even be live streaming again after putting in a new battery. I thought that was pretty amazing. So I'll count that as a success. All right. Yeah, a few people have jumped onto this live stream. So yeah, I have a new battery in my GoPro, and I have about 45 minutes that I can stay here at this cafe. I haven't been drinking very much of my coconut milk coffee, so I still have some of that to enjoy. It's really good. Yeah. So I do have some typical Planet Doug stories I could tell about my time here in Saigon. As I mentioned earlier, there were two other YouTubers here in Saigon over the past 2 or 3 days. There was Daryl from Wander Eats from Malaysia, and Sean, fellow Canadian from Frugal Wanderer YouTube channel. The two of them were here. And one of the very first days, Daryl, he said he had a surprise for us. He wanted to show us something, and he didn't tell us what it was. And the morning started at the Little Hanoi Egg Coffee Cafe. Really nice place nearby here. They make traditional egg coffee that you get here in Vietnam. And anyway, technical issues there. So we started off having egg coffee, and I thought maybe that was the surprise. I wasn't sure what else was going to happen. I thought maybe we were going for breakfast or something. But then Daryl said, no, there's still something coming. And it turned out it was a surprise inside, another surprise, and more surprises. So we went walking along the street from Little Hanoi Egg Coffee. You just have to excuse me a second. I have to sort of track down this live stream myself so that I can see the chat. Okay, so yeah, I have it up and running. I have the chat window open. Anyway, so I'm walking along with Daryl and with Sean, and we popped into this very narrow alleyway, typical Saigon alleyway, jammed with cafes and restaurants and little homes, a lot of life in there. And then Daryl took us into this coffee shop, but it turns out it's a combination coffee shop and museum, which I had no idea. I'd actually seen this coffee shop before. It has a wall filled with bicycles, so I noticed it. But it turns out that if you go into this coffee shop and you buy a coffee, buy a drink of any kind, then you're allowed to go across the street and you get free entrance into the museum. And the museum has two parts. On the left was a house, and the house has like a really, it says your previous live stream is not ended, just frozen. So maybe, yeah, it's a very complicated business. I think maybe I have to find it on my tablet and end it there. And then it will officially end? I'm not sure. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Behind the scenes, there's my live stream on my tablet, but I don't know how to reconnect to it. So I'm just going to end it here. I didn't know I had to do that. So it should be gone now. Thank you for that. I didn't realize that's how it worked. But anyway, as I was saying, the museum, it was actually a house, and the house had been renovated to, like during the Vietnam War, the house had been used as a staging area for the Viet Cong. So they dug out the basement and they built a weapons bunker in the basement, and then they constructed all kinds of interesting tunnels. There's a tunnel system going through the entire house, connecting the weapons bunker up to the roof and then up to the attic, and they had a hidden room in the attic where soldiers could hide. And it turned out that this house had a history with the Tet Offensive. So before the Tet Offensive, all kinds of weapons were smuggled into Saigon from the Cu Chi tunnels, the Cu Chi area. All of these bicycles and farmers' wagons had all these weapons hidden in them, and they brought them into Saigon, and then they stored them in the basement of this house. And then when the Tet Offensive was launched, the soldiers could come to that house, get their weapons, and then come out onto the streets and start fighting. So yeah, it was just an amazing history. I was so glad that Daryl found this place. So we go into the house, and then we're reading. There's all these photographs on the wall giving the history. There's maps about the Tet Offensive, Saigon, things like that. And then Daryl turns to me and says, "Okay, do you want to see the real surprise?" And I'm like, "Okay, this wasn't the surprise." He says, "No, there's more." And then he said to me, "Oh, give me a hand moving the table." And I had no idea what Daryl was talking about. But I bent down and I picked up one end of the living room table. Daryl got the other end, and we lifted it, moved it over, and underneath the table was a trap door. And then you lift up the trap door, and then there was a set of stairs going down into the basement, a hidden basement, and that's where you found, that's where they stored all of the weapons. There were no weapons at the house anymore. It was more like it had museum exhibits, things like that. But while we're down there, then Daryl says, "No, there's even more." Let's see if anything. Yep, there's even more, because when you're down in the basement, you're walking through this tunnel system, and then the tunnel system led to another tunnel going straight up with a ladder, and you climb up the ladder all the way to the top. I went up first, and then it was just like a wooden barrier, but I pushed against the wood, and it turned out it was like a cupboard, on a hinge, and then the cupboard moved out of the way, and it opened into a bathroom. So you could start in the basement, go up the ladder, and then you can sneak out through a hidden to the bathroom, close it behind you. So it's an amazing to see. And then we went all the way down to the wow, that's a noisy motorcycle. Down to the main floor, and there was a little closet with more shelves on it, and the shelves were filled with radios, like a museum display. And then Daryl was looking at, I think there's something else in here. He pulled on the bookshelf, and the bookshelf swung open, and there was another tunnel and another ladder leading all the way up to the attic. And in the attic, there was a hidden room with sleeping cots, ammunition, all kinds of weapons. There was a sewing machine because the Viet Cong had to repair their uniforms and things like that. So it was an amazing house, as I said, that was a staging point for the Viet Cong during the Tet Offensive. And now it's been turned into a kind of a casual museum that you can visit. And then it turned out that there was even more to this place, because beside the house was another museum. And in that museum, there was another trap door, and you could go down into the basement there. And in that basement, they still had all the weapons. So before we went down there, there was sort of a caretaker of the museum, and he says, okay, you can go down into the basement and look, but don't pick up the weapons, don't touch them, don't run the bolt back and forth, don't pull the trigger, like don't touch anything when you're down there. So we were under instructions. Then we went down these cement steps into the basement, and yeah, this place was just jammed with weapons. There were probably, I don't know, 50 rifles and rocket launchers all lined up against the wall. And there were boxes and boxes and boxes of grenades, all different types of hand grenades, the round fragmentation grenades that you're used to seeing from like World War I, World War II, and then the long grenades, similar to the ones I think the Germans used or the Russians made, like long thin ones. There were crates of what looked like plastic explosive, like C4, all wrapped up in little paper cubes. It was really something to go down there. And the whole thing was free. And when I went there with Daryl and Sean, they were both taking video. Like Daryl knew where we were going, so he got his Pocket 3 camera ready, and he was shooting video the entire time, and Sean was shooting video. So that was really great. So when we went into the first house, and we were going through all the tunnels, discovering all the trap doors and the hidden doorways and the ladders and everything, they were taking video the entire time. And then I was thinking, well, I should take video as well, but I wasn't ready for it. I hadn't planned for it. I didn't know anything about the house. And I thought, okay, I'll come back. Like the next day, I can always come back and shoot my own video. But then we left the house and we went to the other house. And then as soon as we walked in there, the caretaker said, no video. No, you can't take video, can't take video. And he said, both places, the house and the museum, you're not allowed to take video. But luckily, Daryl and Sean, they'd already been shooting video the whole time. Nobody told them to stop. There were no signs saying no video. So they were lucky they got video of this place. And I still might go back. Maybe I can go into the house with my GoPro, and if there's nobody there, I can still shoot some video while I'm there. So I'm thinking about it. But anyway, that's one of the things I did the last couple of days here in Saigon. A surprise from Daryl to visit a house in Saigon. You know, that was used as a staging point for the Viet Cong. It was really interesting. A very interesting experience. And I have one more story I can tell that may or may not be interesting, but it's a Planet Doug story, my life here in Saigon. And again, it's connected with, well, this was something I set up actually. I have two stories I could tell. When I was here in Saigon originally, I went on a trip on what they call the Saigon water bus. So you go up and down the Saigon River on a tourist boat, basically. And I did that on my own. I shot a ton of video, GoPro, 360 video. I just haven't had the time to edit that video yet. So it isn't on my channel yet. But now that Sean, this other YouTuber, was in town, I suggested going there to him because I wanted to go on with the water bus again. I wanted to do it a second time, and I thought I wouldn't shoot video this time. I just wanted to go just to relax and enjoy the experience. But I thought Sean, it would be a really good video for him. Well, it would be interesting, but also because his channel is called The Frugal Wanderer, and this boat trip is very inexpensive. It's a very frugal tourist experience. So I suggested to Sean that we could do that together. All about it. I knew how to do it. I knew where to go. I knew the schedule. I knew how to buy tickets. So Sean didn't have to do any work at all, no research. I could just set it all up. So I went there in the morning, arranged here's a quick question, if I can interrupt that story. Kev Brown, he says, was it a little more relaxed yesterday there because of the leader's funeral? Yes, huge difference. I happened to be out walking around at night, and to get to my hotel, I go through the walking street. I go through the Boy Vienne walking street, and normally, of course, Boy Vienne is like being in a disco. Loud music, light shows, drinking, dancing, it's a whole party scene. But yesterday at night, no, the day before when I was there, it was just not entirely shut down, but nearly. There's no music, no lights, very few people. You could still go into the bars and you could have a drink. I mean, you could sit down and have a beer if you wanted to, but there was no music, no lights, no dancing, no parties. Everything was very, very quiet. And the story I was just telling, that I went on the Saigon water bus with another YouTuber, and the first time I did that trip, where the trip ended, there was a vehicle ferry going back and forth across the river. It would fill up with motorcycles and take them across the river, fill up with motorcycles, come back and forth, back and forth. But when we were there during the morning period, they weren't operational because the streets were empty. There was nobody driving around. So they didn't even have enough customers, and the vehicle ferries weren't even operating. So yeah, very, very quiet in Saigon for those 2 days. And yeah, it took me by surprise because I wasn't monitoring current events. I didn't even know this was happening. Daryl told me about it. And yeah, the whole city was really, yeah, very, very quiet. Yeah. Kev says, I figured they would tell the girls to tone it down. And yeah, the girls stayed home. So like the massage parlors were open, but there were no, like I said, no music, no dancing women, nothing at all. So very toned down. But yeah. So when I went on the Saigon water bus with Sean, I shot a live stream when I walked to the Saigon River. And then when I got to the dock, I bought 2 tickets, one for me, one for Sean. The Saigon water bus, one way, it only costs 15,000 dong. So round trip for like a 2.5-hour boat ride, is about $1 US, about 30,000 dong. So it's a great thing to do here in Saigon. And then, yeah, Sean showed up, and we got on the boat. But it was a completely different experience for me this time. Oddly enough, the first time I went on the water, I was filming the whole time. So I was very busy shooting with the GoPro, mounting the 360 camera, shooting with the 360. I was taking pictures for Relive. I was doing all kinds of recording and documenting. This time, I wasn't going to shoot any video. So I was thinking, oh, this is going to be very relaxing. I'm just going to have an enjoyable time, nothing at all, like no stress at all. It was completely the opposite, because when Sean and I went, the boat was crowded. It was almost completely full, jammed with people, and there were tour groups, and there were families, so a lot of children, a lot of running around, a lot of crying children, shouting, yelling, and everybody wanted to take selfies. So when you buy a ticket, you get a seat. You get an assigned seat number. But for me and for most people with cameras, they don't want to sit inside in a seat. They want to sit outside. There's a back veranda, a balcony on the boat, and that's outside. It's a better place to go. So that's where Sean and I were the whole time. But lots of other people wanted to be there too. And all these other people all wanted selfies. And they're not very quick about it either, because the women in particular, for obvious reasons, right? They want to look good. They want to look their best. So it's like a whole photo shoot. They get arranged, they're combing their hair, they're adjusting their clothing, and they strike a pose. And then they look at the phone, this picture, and they're like, oh, I don't like that one. And I tell the cameraman where to stand, how to frame it. And she does another pose. And the selfies would go on for a very long time. And there were so many people, it was so crowded. Sean is trying to shoot video with his 360 camera. So it was not nearly, oddly enough, my first trip when I was a YouTuber shooting video constantly, it was more relaxing than my second trip when I wasn't shooting video. That's kind of crazy. And then we get all the way to the terminal station of the water bus. It goes 5 docks to get there. And on the way there, for some reason, they were towing a raft. It was some sort of a big white square. It might have been a raft. It looked like it might have been like a boat trailer or something, because it had wheels on it. Like you could roll a boat onto it and tow it behind you or something. But whatever it was, they were pulling it behind the boat, and it had a flat surface, so it was creating a big wave that was splashing over the tourist boat. So everybody was getting soaking wet. So partway through the journey, they had to stop, like slow way down. And the boat was just crawling along because they were towing this raft behind them. And then when we got to the next dock, they untied it and left it there. But now we were so far behind schedule that for the rest of the journey, the captain was under instructions to just gun the engine. And we were just blasting through the water, sending this huge wake in front of the boat, huge wake behind it. The boat was like vibrating and shaking and making a lot of noise. It was like a really weird experience. Again, added to this sense of not being so relaxing, because they were on a schedule and they went so slowly while they're pulling the raft. Now they had to make up for lost time, and the boat just whoosh, went as fast as it could through the water. So that wasn't very relaxing. Then we get to the final dock, and the way it works is at the last dock, everybody has to get off the boat. So we all got off. You have 2 tickets, 1 ticket to go out, 1 ticket to come back. So everybody gets off, and you have to wait about 30 minutes to return. And during the 30 minutes that we're waiting, the rain hit. And as Sean and I were telling the story to Daryl yesterday, or the day before yesterday, they had a roof. You could be underneath the roof, but it didn't help because the wind was so powerful, the storm was so strong, the rain was horizontal. So the rain was just like, just coming straight into our faces. I got wet. I had an umbrella and I took out the umbrella, but instead of holding the umbrella above my head, I was holding it in front of me like it was a shield and keeping the rain off me because the rain was coming this way, right? And I was worried that the storm was so powerful that we weren't even going to be able to go back because the water was pretty rough, the rain was heavy, the wind was strong, and I thought we were going to be stuck out there for the rest of the day. But luckily, the storm subsided, the rain ended just as we were getting back on the boat, and then the boat returned. And the return journey was very smooth. I wouldn't call it quiet because there were a lot of shouting, crying children on the boat, but we were going down river, so we were going with the current, so we were going much faster, but they didn't have to run the engine, everything was quieter. And then I tried to do another live stream from the boat, and I was successful for like 9 minutes, and then I guess the live stream cut out. I didn't know it cut out, so I kept talking for about 25 minutes. The whole trip back to the dock, I was talking like I was doing a live stream, but apparently it wasn't going on YouTube at all. So, yeah. But oddly enough, even though the live stream wasn't going to YouTube live, it was being saved on my GoPro as a regular video file. So at the end of it, I uploaded the whole thing anyway. So there's actually 2 copies on my YouTube channel. There's a live stream that's only 9 minutes long, but on the regular video tab, there's a 26-minute video of the whole live stream. But at the beginning, only 9 minutes of it ended up on YouTube, so that was kind of strange. Yeah. So. Finished my coffee. Ugh. In case anyone is curious where I am, if you've joined the live stream and you just don't know what's going on, I'm in Saigon in Vietnam, of course, and I'm at a coffee shop called Linh Coffee, and at Linh Coffee they have a nice balcony area. So this is the balcony, and it overlooks quite a busy street. So there's an intersection out there. Quite a bit of traffic, as you can see. But that is the world that I've been looking at this whole time. You've been looking at me, but I've been looking out here at the world while I've been sitting here. I just got a message from KY, and he said, Doug, the last stream on the first part was... I can't see the rest of your message. It's covered up by something on the screen. It says something, you were talking about KY, then it froze and didn't get the story. Yeah, the story I was telling KY was, someone asked me about like MacBook versus Windows computers. Someone said something, they prefer Windows, and I was saying that if and when I buy a new laptop, it will be a Windows computer. And I was telling the story about how you, KY, you went looking for a Windows computer for me, that could run DaVinci Resolve, and that could be used for video editing. And the story I was going to tell was that when you brought that Windows laptop and showed it to me, and you wanted to see how I edit videos, as soon as I turned it on and I was looking at DaVinci Resolve and looking at the controls, I didn't know what to do anymore, because I had become used to a MacBook, the systems on a MacBook, and I had become accustomed to using a mouse. So that I Windows, and when you showed me Windows laptop, I didn't know how to use it anymore. I was like, how do you use Windows? Like, okay, is it Control Tab? No, it doesn't. Command Tab, Shift L. I couldn't remember the shortcuts. I couldn't remember how to do anything on a Windows computer anymore. So even though I said I prefer Windows to Macs, it turned out I've forgotten how to use a Windows computer too. So it would take me some time to get that figured out. Yeah, as Tang Studio said, that's a good story about being a YouTuber. A GoPro can save you some work. If for some reason you're cut off from the stream, you can upload the remaining later. Yeah. It works for like if the connection gets lost and the live stream cuts out for 10 seconds, those 10 seconds are still in the saved file. So even if the live stream is freezing and lagging, the saved version, it doesn't have that in it. So you end up with two copies. The one that was uploaded to YouTube as a live stream, and you have the original still saved to the memory card. But that is an option you have to turn on when you go into the GoPro Quick app to set up a live stream. You actually have to find that setting and turn it on to save a copy to the micro SD card. And my friend Sean, the other YouTuber, he's been doing live streams, but he uses a Pocket 3 camera. So he has to use the DJI Mimo app. And the Mimo app is different from the GoPro app. And the Mimo app has some advantages over the GoPro, and the GoPro has some advantages over the Mimo. So the Mimo can do some things the GoPro can't, but the GoPro can do things that the Mimo can't. I think one of them is, Sean told me that with his Pocket 3, he can't save a copy to the memory card. I thought everybody could do that, but maybe it's only certain cameras can do it. Or maybe the Pocket 3 Mimo app can do it, but he didn't find that setting yet. I'm not sure. Ronald Vine is asking me an embarrassing question, just embarrassing for me. Do you get new medical insurance for each country you visit? The terrible thing, or the dumb thing, is I have no medical insurance at all. I don't know if I've ever been able to get it, because ages ago, when I first started traveling most of the time, I was traveling by bicycle. So I was always on a bike tour. And every time I tried to get travel insurance, I was rejected because they said we do not cover risky activities. And they include riding on a scooter, riding on a motorcycle, scuba diving, snorkeling, and bike touring as risky activities. So even if I got medical insurance and I was hit by a car, I wouldn't be covered anyway. That was my experience, that I couldn't get medical insurance for traveling because I was riding a bicycle. And then lately I've stopped. I'm not bike touring anymore. I haven't done it full time. So maybe I could get medical insurance again, but I don't know. I just never got around to it. So basically, not only do I not get medical insurance for every country, I don't have it at all. So I'm not covered by any travel insurance at all. So it's probably not a good thing, especially at my advanced age. It's a little bit like rolling the dice. I've kind of been rolling the dice plus years that I've been in Asia. I've never had any kind of medical insurance, really. I guess when I was living full-time in Taiwan, I had a real job, work, a real work by Taiwan insurance. So I did have insurance there, I guess. But all the other times, no, I've never had any insurance at all. And, you know, fingers crossed, knock on wood, I've never needed it. I've never been injured. I've never been sick. I've never had any trouble at all. So it has kind of worked out in a way. Jamie Parker says, I'm loving this live stream. I'm glad. David Nguyen, I live one street down, drink cafe there, and G Point Cafe too down the street. Oh, so you're nearby here. That's cool. And Joby Nasser says, Doug, it's pretty disrespectful to sneak a GoPro into an establishment that has expressly asked you not to take video. This gives YouTubers a bad name and paints you as a rule breaker. Yeah, I kind of disagree, to be honest, because the places that I've been that have a rule about no video, they don't really mean me. They don't mean YouTubers. When they say no video allowed, the rule was set up for commercial operations. Like if you're working for a local TV station and you want to feature this museum, like if you want to go to the Fine Arts Museum or the War Rental Museum with a camera crew, you got a camera guy and a guy with a boom mic and lights and iPods. For that kind of video, you need a permit and you need permission because it can be a real disruption to other people. So that's my understanding. That's where the rule comes from, no video. But then when you get a security guard who looks at the rules, all he sees is no video. So if you go in there like a tourist and you're shooting video for your grandparents back in Canada, then they come up to you and say, no video. But technically, the rule wasn't written to apply to you as a person. The rule is no commercial video shoots with a camera crew. That's what I've been told when I've asked about it. There are some places where they have a rule, like a sign that says no video. And I've gone up to the window, I've gone up to the authorities and talked to them and said, it says no video, but can I take some video with this GoPro? And they said, oh yeah, that's okay, you can do that. But you just can't come in here with a big camera crew. That's who the rule is for. But I could be wrong about that. Because, I don't know, logically, I've never understood why they say no video. I was at the Independence Palace, and there was another building at the Independence Palace, like another exhibit in a separate building. And I went in there with my GoPro, and I was happily doing my Planet Doug thing. But then a woman came up to me and says, excuse me, sir, you can't take video in here with that. And I talked to her for a while, because I'm always curious about rules. I'm a very logical person, and I'm like, I'll obey the rules, of course, but I do like to know why. What's the logic behind the rule? So I was trying to ask her, it's like, well, like why? What's the difference between a video and a photo? So she was just applying the rule. And she said, well, you can take video with your phone. You can take pictures, take video with your phone, but you can't use your camera. And of course that made me laugh because inside a museum, my phone takes better video than the GoPro does. So in fact, if they're worried about actual video, she's telling me my cheap camera, you can't use that, but you can use an expensive camera. Anyway, the rules don't make any sense to me at all. And oddly enough, when we were at that museum and Daryl and Sean were shooting video, the curator of that museum, of the house, came in to talk to us. And he was coming in, seeing how we were doing. He was pointing out, there's the trap door, there's the ladder. And then we were just standing there taking video and talking. And I said something to him about, oh yeah, this is really amazing to take video of this tunnel. And he's like, oh yeah. So he was in charge of the place, and he didn't talk about the video at all. He was fine with it. It was only when we went to next door at that place, then the guy said, no video. So even at that place, nobody even knew what the rules were. But anyway. Well, I'm going to have to get up and start walking here. David Nguyen says, good place, but too expensive by Vietnam prices. Yeah, Linh Cafe, it's a premium coffee prices, I guess, staying here. Frugal Wanderer says, good morning, Doug, enjoy your coffee. The Frugal Wanderer is on a bus to Dalat right now and shooting video about his journey to Dalat. A couple more questions before I start walking. I have an appointment with 2 other YouTubers at 10 o'clock. The Flow Travelers. So I've got to go meet them by 10 o'clock. So I got to go in a minute. KY says, Doug, would you get back on a bike touring in Vietnam? Yeah, I would love to be honest. I think for Vietnam, it doesn't make a lot of sense to be bike touring, though. I think the whole world here is based around long-distance, luxury-style buses. And there are so many trucks, so many buses on the roads. I think riding a bicycle would be very uncomfortable. And then you've got the heat, and then you've got some very, very steep roads. So you'd have to be really committed to bike touring in order to do it. But I think it would be nice because it would take you away from the normal areas. If you travel by bus, you're up the coast. I mean, you're going to go to Saigon, then Nha Trang, then Da Nang, then Hoi An. You're going to go to all the same places that everybody goes to. But if you're on a bike tour, you're naturally going to end up spending the night in all these little towns along the coast that people don't generally visit. So that's the big advantage to bike touring. But I don't know how well it fits in with shooting YouTube videos. That was the problem I ran into in Sumatra. There wasn't enough time to go bike touring and shoot video at the same time. But I'd love to. I'd love to come back here with my bike. The Flow Travelers just showed up on the chat. See you soon, Doug. Yeah, 20 minutes. So yeah, I'm going to keep the camera rolling and start walking. Hopefully the connection doesn't break. Oop. Always got to check if you plug something in. I was about to walk away and leave that behind. All of these things are complicated, one-handed. Zipping up your knapsack. There we go. Ooh. I'd like to rearrange my chairs, put them back where I found them. And so there's the outside world. So I'm going to start heading in this direction. And this is the interior of the coffee shop. Hopefully I still have a Wi-Fi connection. But yeah, it's really a nice place. Very cool atmosphere. Looking down over the main floor. And they always have some very typical, challenging Saigon stairs. You see these almost everywhere, and you really got to be careful. Very steep and very narrow. And here's the main floor. Very nice. Yeah, and from here you can look up to the second floor as well. So let's head outside. And this is the outside of Linh Coffee. There's always a lot of people sitting outside. Very nice. I think I saw a question in the chat about the horn honking, comparing it to Sumatra. And here in Vietnam, here in Saigon, a lot of honking. There seemed to be a lot more honking in other.
How are you?
I'm
From Germany.
Canada.
Vancouver.
Toronto.
How long in Saigon?
Saigon, right now only 2 more days. Yeah.
Hanoi?
I go to Malaysia
Tomorrow?
Monday.
Monday.
Yeah.
And you've been Hanoi?
I haven't been yet, no. Next time. Next time. Yeah.
Now, one for the boy visit.
Pardon me?
One for the boy visit, have a look.
No, not today.
Why?
Yeah,
Now what?
I have plans for today. So
Now where you go? Where you going?
meeting my friends for coffee.
How far?
Yeah, or banh mi actually. No, just here
Bye.
near the park. Yeah. Thank you. So, yeah, you get a lot of scooter drivers, motorcycle drivers around District 1. And yeah, so if I wanted to go around the city to the different museums as a tourist, he would like to drive me around. So it's always interesting chatting with those guys. If they ask you, what country are you from? And I say I'm from Canada, quite often they have a notebook with them. And they keep a record of all their previous customers, and they get them to pen a testimonial. And he says, Canada. And then they'll get out the book and find a reference, a testimonial from a Canadian who he guided around the city, and he'll show me the letter, say, see, and as a reference letter basically from other Canadian visitors. So apparently he did not have a book, but he was trying to find out what my plans were and whether or not I needed a guide. So yeah, horn honking. There doesn't seem, for my money, there doesn't seem to be a lot of horn honking here. Well, there's some, but there's more. When I was sitting there, there's more. So I guess I have to eat my words. Maybe there is a lot of horn honking. I heard a lot while I was in the cafe. And more than I'm accustomed to. But that was a pretty busy intersection. That was pretty funny. Not long ago I was watching a video from the Frugal Wanderer. He was in Cambodia. He goes for long walks and shoots videos. He's out exploring the back alleys and getting off the beaten path, that sort of thing. And then Sean, the Frugal Wanderer, he was walking along and he suddenly says, oh shoot, because he stepped on a paving stone. And quite often these paving stones, the big square ones, they're a little bit loose and they have water underneath them. And then when you step on them, it sprays water up, and then your feet, your sandaled feet, get covered in this puddle water. And that just happened to me right there. Now, let me stop for a second just to see if anybody said your live stream got cut off or anything like that. I have to refresh it. Now, Joby Nasser is sticking to his guns about shooting video. He says, you also break YouTube's terms of service and risk a strike against your channel. I don't think it's that serious, but hey. It's actually kind of funny to have someone saying that I'm a rule breaker, because I'm really the absolute opposite. Certainly, I think Canadians are known for obeying too many rules. We're very much rule followers in Canada, and I'm probably an extreme example of that, because I'm a rule follower to my core, and breaking rules actually makes me profoundly uncomfortable. But but at the same time, I'm also a very logical person. I like to know the reasons for things. And if someone says this is a rule, I'm like, okay, cool, that's a rule. But then I want to know, like, well, why? Like, what's the point behind the rule, the purpose? And then if the rule makes absolutely no sense and no one can even explain to me why the rule exists, then I might be willing to the rule. I want to go back there, shoot a video about the place, give it lots of good advertising. But ever since we went to that second museum and then the guy did say, no video, no video, that's the main reason I haven't gone back. I've been doing other things because, yeah, I didn't want to break the rule. It would make me uncomfortable. So they lose out on all that Planet Doug advertising. No, thank you. Let's see. I think I have just enough time before meeting up with the Flow travelers to duck into the alleyways leading to my guest house. And then once I get there, I will end the live stream. I just thought it might be interesting if you haven't seen what this neighborhood looks like. I'll aim the GoPro ahead of me and show you some of the street life here. This whole area can be quite busy depending on the time of day and the day of the week. One thing I find interesting is that a lot of passenger buses come and go here, load up with tourists, and then all these buses do double duty, carrying passengers out of these places like this, but then they also ship things like this, all these boxes, everything being shipped all over Vietnam. So sometimes you can walk along here and you can't even move because of how many people, suitcases, backpacks, combined with all of the cargo being piled into these buses. It's a very bustling area. Hello.
About 1 hour city tour to Chinatown.
No, thank you. Yeah, another offer of a tour. He said 1 hour, go to Chinatown. And I started the live stream, the first live stream, over there in that park, September 23rd park. And I mentioned at that time that it's right across the road from my first hotel. Right here, a Dean. Available this time. In my alleyway, if I remember right, yeah, it's right over here. I keep meaning to get a coffee inside one of these Waynes, but I haven't done it yet. Ah, here it is. my alleyway. So this takes me into the alley system, and I may or may not lose the live stream connection, but hey, it's worth it just to try. I just find these alleyways so interesting. There's always so much going on down here. And at certain ends of these alleyways, you do get the like nails. You get a lot of nail salons and then massage parlors, things like that. And I have learned to be a little bit careful with the camera, because not everyone wants to be too. And then if I see some of the women sitting outside of the massage parlors, I'll lower the camera. Because if I walk by them with the camera, they'll often hide their faces. They just don't want to be. So you're walking, filming, and you don't notice that they're there. But yeah, I've already gotten to know this area pretty well. So I know that right here, when I see La Menda Hotel, right there, that is where I turn left down this alleyway. And yeah, we're deep. Look at that, how these practically touch from one side to the other of the alleyway. And then there's more little ones going off to the side. And these are all, yeah, private homes. So the doors are open and you're looking right into people's living rooms and they're watching TV. And those people, I guess, checked out of my hotel, because here it is, once again, Full House Hostel, way up there. That's where I'm staying right now. So let me just check any live stream comments, and then I'm going to go meet up with the Flow Travelers. Really looking forward to that. Okay, cool. Still good signal from Terry. Tang Studio, live stream is fine, KY. And Ronan Zilderbrand, if Doug wants to break the rules, just let him and shut up about it. Yeah, as I said, I'm not a big rule breaker, to be honest. I'm the opposite. I'm terrible. I get very nervous breaking rules. I never do, so it's kind of funny that that's become an issue on Planet Doug. Yeah, I'm the exact opposite. But anyway, here I am. And as I said, I'm going to pop inside just for a second, maybe change my shirt, because this one is actually kind of sweaty. And then I'm going to go meet up with the Flow Travelers, and we can trade stories about YouTube videos and Sumatra, everything like that. So that's it. I'm going to try and open up my live streaming software. And there it is, the GoPro Quick app. And that red button at the bottom, once I hit that, that ends the live stream. And just in time, this GoPro battery is about to die as well. So I'm going to hit the button. Thank you very much to everyone. That was amazing. So many people joined in on the first live stream. That was so much fun. And then I ran out of GoPro battery and started up a brand new one. And tons of people came back just to hang out with me. I love it. Absolutely love it. Maybe I found my niche on YouTube. Who knows? We'll see how it goes. So that's it. I'm shutting down the live stream for now. And hopefully, yeah, the next one I can also set up a schedule in advance. The Frugal Wanderer taught me how to do it, so I've got that all figured out. You just have to go into desktop mode on your mobile device. That's the secret, so now I know. All right, that's it. I'm shutting down, and I'll see you in the next video. Oh, thought a scooter was coming behind me. Yeah, see you next time.